Welcome to the U.S. Term Limits first ever webinar. My name is Ken Clark. I am the Regional Director for the Southeast Division. On the cameras with me, I suppose, is the best way to put that. I've got Regional Director in the Northeast, Ken Quinn. Say hi to everybody, Ken.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you.
And then Western Division Regional Director, Bob Berry.
Hey there.
Bob, say hi to everybody.
Yeah, how's it going, everybody? And it's really good to have this chance to talk.
This is something that the three of us have been working on for quite some time. This is our first trial run. We're going to do these every week, and we're going to be broadcasting them live on Facebook once we get really good at it. Some of them will be pre-recorded, and we'll post those. But for the most part, we're going to try to be doing live Facebook Live events that is all about U.S. term limits. And we want to try to connect with you. We want to try to get as many people involved with our organization as we possibly can. And that being said, there's going to be a lot more to follow. So I guess the real big question would be why U.S. term limits? So let me start with you, Ken Quinn. Why are we talking about term limits for our Congresspeople?
Oh, that's such a good question. And basically, term limits in America is probably the #1 issue that brings together both sides of the political spectrum. The American people have been desiring term limits for Congress for decades now. And back in the 90s, 23 states passed state laws putting term limits on their Congress members. And those decisions, those rules, actually those laws got overturned by the Supreme Court. So this has been something that Americans been wanting for a very long time. And I'm excited about U.S. term limits because we can actually get it done. And we are gaining traction throughout America. And in my region, I'm in the Northeast region, we're getting traction up here. And it's something that once we hit the tipping point of educating the American public on this, and they realize that we can do it, we the people can actually put term limits on members of Congress, it's going to happen. And why that's important is because when they get to Congress, so many of these people, they go there with good intentions, but the system that they're in, basically, it turns them into focusing more on their reelection and their party to maintain power than solving the problems facing America. And what they end up doing is kicking the big, tough issues down the road. And as we see every day now, nothing of any real substance is getting accomplished. We're doing continuing resolutions. We're having government shutdown threats every 3 to 6 months because they're afraid to do and make the tough decisions. And that's why what term limits, one of the things term limits will accomplish is give these representatives and these senators the freedom to go there to do what their constituents sent them to do, knowing they have a short period of time, 6, 12 years, we don't know, but it's going to be probably around that range. And they're going to go there and get it done before the hooks of the lobbyists, the special interest groups, and the corporations get in them and control them. So that's why I'm excited about term limits.
So Bob Berry, let me ask you that same question. Why do we need congressional term limits?
You know, it's really funny because many years ago, as part of a businessman's roundtable, part of my function was to do candidate recruitment. And it was the funniest thing you've ever seen, because every couple of years I'd have these conversations with people. I get resumes, and I get people who look really good on paper, and then I go to lunch with them. And if it was a situation where we're looking for somebody to run against an incumbent, I got people who look really good on paper, but then it took me maybe 30 seconds to realize in many cases these were crackpots. They were just absolute crackpots. Fast forward a couple of years, maybe 4 years to an election, now I got an open seat. Okay, and I'm out recruiting candidates to run in this maybe congressional seat. And now all of a sudden, I get people who look good on paper, but who are also electable. And I used to get so mad. I was like, where in the world were you when I was trying to get somebody decent to go up against this deadbeat incumbent that we have? And of course, the answer is very obvious. The answer is they're going to have 10 times my war chest, unless the person's independently wealthy. He's just going to get blown out of the water. And anybody who knows that, anybody who's got really any sense at all is not going to go up against that buzzsaw. They're going to wait for an opportune time, and that's going to be an open seat. And if nothing else, if people remember nothing else about our objective with congressional term limits, it is a very modest ask. It says at some interval, and I almost don't care what that interval is, at some interval we are going to have an open seat. And a single individual cannot exercise monopoly control literally for decades over a single congressional seat. That is how you get into the realm of an oligarchy, which too many of us think we've arrived there already.
So Bob, let me ask you a follow-up question on that. We're talking about congressional term limits. So how do we do that? Tell us about the U.S. Term Limits organization.
So the organization's been around for decades, and it was instrumental in what happened in the 90s. And the weapon of choice has really always been the initiative. The initiative in a lot of states, a lot of states have the initiative process. And it's a process that's a very expensive process and requires some degree of expertise. And so the organization got very, very good at doing that, at going to states and running initiatives. And in the mid-1990s, you had, if you recall, a lot of us, I think all three of us are old enough to remember these things, you had all these scandals going on in Congress. And Congress was even arguably more unpopular than it is today. And so you had a lot of states that were, this was just getting done. And there was this huge wave for term limits specifically on Congress, but also on state officials. And so what we got was, we got them on the state officials, tried to do it on Congress. By the way, many states passed, I think, Ken said it was like 23. Keep in mind what they were doing. They were saying, we know our guys we're going to lose seniority here. There are going to be states that don't have term limits, and they're going to eventually, our guys can only be in for X number of years, whatever that is. So at some point, other states are going to have more seniority than us. We're okay with that. We believe so much in this principle that we're okay with that. Well, the punchline is that this ended up in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, nice try, nice try. This is going to require a constitutional amendment. If you guys want this, now all the term limits on your local and state officials, that's fine, no problem there. But you can't do this on federal officials. This is going to require an amendment to the U.S. Constitution. And so that is what we are working on now, is the process for that goes through state legislatures. And that's why we have our country divided up into regions, so that we can work this from the grassroots right into the legislative chambers.
So Ken Quinn, let me ask you this question. From an organizational standpoint, what do people do from an organizational standpoint, and how does our organization work to accomplish this goal?
Well, there's a lot of different ways folks can get involved. And one way is just talk to people, right at your church, your coworkers. Start sharing with people our website, telling them what we're trying to accomplish. If you go to our website, it's termlimits.com, sign on the petition. The first step everyone needs to take is sign our petition. What that will do is that will get them into our database so that they'll receive updates and they'll be learning more about what we're all about and how we are doing in their states. And from that point on, we have a variety of ways people can get engaged themselves through volunteer efforts. This right here, we're going to be doing these webinars and these Facebook Live to share ideas with people and how they can get involved. One thing that works great is just have a meeting, meet for coffee with folks and talk about, hey, let's organize in our district or in our county, and let's just start sharing and talking to others, doing presentations, and we'll help you with all of that. But the goal is to not only share and talk to your neighbors and friends, but also to communicate and meet with and call your state representative, your state senator, and ask them to get behind this, because it's only through them that we're going to accomplish this. And so we need sponsors, we need co-sponsors, and we have got to do this from the ground up. It's not going to come down, top heavy. This needs to come from the people. And like I said earlier, 82% of the American people were polled recently. They want this. So, this is the dynamic. We have 82% of the American people that want term limits on Congress. However, their ratings, also their ratings in Congress, like 18%, 12%. So if their approval rating is so low and people want them out, why isn't it happening? Well, that's because they control so much. And the typical answer that we get all the time is, well, Ken, Bob, term limits, we have those already. They're called elections. Come on, folks, let's wake up. Elections are not changing anything, because the system, like we were saying earlier, you just cannot win against an incumbent. The war chest, the millions of dollars they have, it's preventing really good people from running for these seats, because they know they don't have a chance. If these seats were open on a regular basis, they know, okay, in 2 years, that seat's going to be open. Now I can start my planning, I can start raising money, and we're going to get a lot of great people running for those seats, and we're going to raise the level of the integrity in Congress.
So Bob, let me ask you this question. I want to pitch it back to Bob Berry real quick. How do people get involved? How do people help this effort? What can they do? Because there's a lot of people out there that are going to be watching this video and going, you know what, I believe in that. I want to help. What do they do?
So there are two kinds of activists who see this this discussion or listen to this discussion. There are people kind of like us where this just hits us and we're all in on this and we're like, this is, if I have like no other issue, this is my issue, right? Then there's a larger group, and the larger group are people who are already activists, and they're people who already know one or more state legislators. And they're saying, you know, I totally am down with this, but my main cause is the Second Amendment. My main cause is the environment, whatever it is. By the way, this is a good time to remind everybody, this thing is a nonpartisan issue. So we want to make friends regardless of party affiliation, and maybe it's at least on this one thing, this is something where we can work together on. If the American people can, if activists in particular, can kind of get over whatever animosity they have for the other party and just once join hands with people they don't normally agree with, this is something very, very special. So you can have an opportunity here to really do something, and maybe this isn't going to be your number one issue, but we might want this to be among the issues you discuss, because especially in particular, if you are connected in some meaningful way to a member of a state legislature, you have a very useful tool there, because this is somebody who knows you, they know you're an activist, they know a lot of people are paying attention to you, you kind of run in the same circles. I hate to say it, but human nature is going to count, that legislator is going to count that activist some multiple of a regular citizen in their district. I mean, this is just human nature. Mm-hmm. And the more of those people we have kind of zeroing in on a particular legislator saying, hey, this is something that's really important to us, we want this, then they're going to be with us. And this is also an important point to make. In this country, at the state level, remember what I said earlier, that the road to this solution goes through 50 different state legislatures. The fact is that there's 7,382 legislators at the state level, right, in state houses and state senates. And those guys, a lot of them are fancy themselves a future member of Congress, right? Kind of like, and I hate to put it this way, kind of like any minor league baseball player wants to be in the majors. And that's how a lot of them see it. Not all of them. A lot of them say, think, okay, this is where I want to be, and I'm happy being at the state level. But we know a lot of them want to go to Congress. And so if you're wondering why we get pushback at that level, that's the reason. Because they've heard about what a lottery it is, and they think they can win it. And when they win it, they don't want their career cut short. And the rest of us who still believe in citizen legislatures and all the basic principles of good government, we see things a little differently. One thing I think we've all noticed is when candidates at the state level are running for office, they love the idea of term limits, right? Especially if they're running in an open seat and one that was made open by term limits. But once they get elected, very often they think it's the worst idea they've ever heard. And so you hear all these bromides. Oh, well, I used to be all for that, but now that I've been in the legislature, I kind of see how it all works. And I think it's really a lousy idea. It's like, okay, look, Senator, 82% of the American public thinks something very, very different. Congress's approval rating is in the toilet. When you have a situation like that, what we're talking about here is not just a possibility, it is an inevitability. No matter how we ask this question in any poll, we always get these ridiculously lopsided results. That is how I know we can win. And I think a lot of us have worked for faltering campaigns in the past. A lot of us, if you've been doing this for any length of time, you've had to take your hits, right? And over time, it's very dangerous if you become increasingly okay with fighting losing battles. We need to win this one, and we can win this one. We absolutely can win this one. So if you are just tired of fighting losing battles and you want to get involved in something that's going to win, and you can say that you're a part of it, and it's significant, and everybody understands it, everybody in this country knows what it means to have term limits on the president, all we want to do is apply that to Congress, message over. Now that's something you can get behind, and we'll see you.
So Ken Quinn, let me flip it back to you real quick. Is there a website? Is there a place where people can go sign a petition, volunteer? How do people get involved in the movement? Where do they go? Specifically, what actions do they need to take?
Yeah, first action, go to our website. It's termlimits.com where you can sign our petition. We also have, can you see this?
Right there, perfect.
All right, if you text the word term limits to 50457, you're going to receive a link to our website where you can just click on that link and sign the petition. And what that's going to do, like I mentioned earlier, is going to keep you informed of what's going on nationally as well as in your state. And then go to our website and go to the tabs up top, take action, volunteer, and check the things that you want to do. If you're willing to make phone calls, let us know that. If you know a legislator, let us know. There's a variety of things, and this will be growing as well, of things that you can do to help us. And not everybody wants to do a presentation, but there's some that do. So we have a variety of ways that you can get involved. We're here to help. You'll see the map and our contact information as well. So reach out to us if we're in your region. Take a look at the map, who's there. Call us, email us. We'll get you plugged in. In my region, I'm in the Northeast. We have a lot of my states. I don't have activists right now, so I really need help and support to get a good core group of people involved, and then we'll do it together. I'll come out and I can do presentations, and let's get this done. I really want to see this done, and I want to see it done fairly quickly because we just can't continue. We cannot sustain what's going on in Congress. We see that, and we've got to do this.
Bob Berry, Regional Director of the Western States. Ken Quinn, Regional Director of the Northeastern States. My name again is Ken Clark. I am the Regional Director for the Southeast. We will be back next week. We're going to have a lot more information. This is simply our introductory video. We wanted to do it first time out, make sure that we covered all the bases, let people know who we are, what we're doing, why, and where to go get involved. I think we've covered that. We're going to start getting in deep. We're going to start bringing very serious issues to the forefront, and it's going to be hardcore. So please join us again next week. We will post on our Facebook page when we're going to be talking to you. So thank you so much for joining us. See you next week.